afternoon, dear students. My name is Dr. Shuaib Mohammad Bhat. I am working as Assistant Professor in the Department of English at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. Today in this video lecture, we shall be talking about COPO mapping with special reference to Module 4th, which is Reading Skills of the paper Professional Communication. When it comes to COPO mapping, you all must be knowing that it's all about outcome-based education, because it is outcome-based education which has brought this concept of course outcomes and program outcomes. So before I go with the outcome-based education, or before I go with the mapping, I would like to tell you something about what this course outcome is and program outcome is. According to outcome-based education, every program should have its outcome, so that a student at the end of every program should achieve that outcome during that course at different academic levels. Now, we all know that in every program there are certain courses. Different courses are there. If I talk about BTech, so different courses are there in the BTech. So every course is having its own outcome. So we need, these course outcomes, they should align to the program outcome, because a student is going to get a degree. A student admit himself or herself for a certain degree, for a certain program. So this program is having different courses, different subjects are there. All the subjects are having different objectives. So all these objectives, they should align with the program outcomes. All these course outcomes should align with the program outcomes. Let us see how course outcome of professional communication of module 4, how they are attained, or how they are aligned, how they are mapped with program outcomes. Before I go with the mapping, I would like to introduce outcome-based education to you. Outcome-based education, it came in 1988 by the efforts of William Spady. So the person who brought it was Spady. He brought this concept, he coined this concept in 1988. So before that, we had only one system of education, that is orthodox mode of education, where a teacher was everything, where the education was teacher-centered. A teacher was the center of focus. A teacher was the epicenter of that mode of education. But here the things are different. It's not the teacher who is the epicenter of the education. Rather, it is student-centric. This model of education, or this mode of education, which is named as outcome-based education, it is student-centered. And it is, as I told you, student-centric teaching and learning methodology. It is the methodology of teaching and learning which is totally student-centric. It centers on students. It is student-centered. And in this outcome-based education model, the course delivery assessments are planned to achieve stated objectives and outcomes. Course delivery, like how you have to deliver your course, how you have to deliver your lectures, and what assessments you are going to take at the end or in between the course, they all are planned in order to achieve these objectives and outcomes. As I told you, it is that course which relies on outcomes and objectives. Here, outcomes and objectives are being checked. So, assessments and delivery is according to those outcomes and objectives. Your delivery and your assessments, they should ensure you that at the end of a certain course, its objectives and its outcomes, they are being achieved by the students. That's why here we have everything is like planned in advance, whether it is the delivery or whether these are the assessments. It focuses on measuring student performance, that is outcome at different levels. Its main focus is on measuring student performance. Have students attained course outcomes or not? At the end of the degree, at the end of the program, have students attained the program outcomes or not? So it relies on that. It relies on the student performance, that is outcomes at different levels. At different levels, it it measures the student outcomes, course outcomes, which students have attained or not. Then, now there are some key features. In order to implement outcome-based education, some key features are there. Number one is development of curriculum. If you want to implement outcome-based education, the first thing, main thing which you require is curriculum. Because your curriculum is the path, that is a path shower, that shows the path to you, what you have to do. So your curriculum, it should outline specific and measurable outcomes. Your curriculum, it should outline, it should talk about, it should draw, it should write, it should contain specific and measurable outcomes. These outcomes, they should be measurable. They should not be the outcomes which cannot be measured at the end of the course or at the end of the program. If it is so, that means the curriculum is faulty. That means the outcome-based education cannot be delivered, cannot be given, or cannot survive in that curriculum. So curriculum should outline specific and measurable. Those outcomes only which can be measured at the end, or those outcomes only which can be attained by the students. Not abstract outcomes, not some ambiguous outcomes, not some mysterious outcomes. Specific and measurable. They are particular, they are less in number, but they are measurable. They are attainable. They can be achieved. Then, instructional methodology. Instructional methodology should be there to ensure delivery for specified outcomes. The methodology which you use for instructions, it should ensure you that your delivery, your instructions which you are giving to students, it should ensure that it's for the specified outcomes. So that means the mode of teaching, it should be according to the specified outcomes. Your mode of education, your mode of instruction, your mode of teaching, it should ensure that students will get those specified outcomes. Then the third thing is standard assessments. So assessments must be standard because OBE heavily relies on assessments, on student performance. That performance can be measured or checked by assessments. And when it is against orthodox, this educational model, that means it cannot heavily rely on the examinations which we are taking at the end of semester or at the end of year. Now, there are some other assessments which have been included in OBE. So, these assessments, they determine whether students have achieved the stated target or not. It is through these assessments you will get to know whether your students have achieved the objectives or not. If you are checking after the course, these assessments will tell you whether your students have achieved course objectives or not. The syllabus is for the fourth module. The fourth module is reading skill. As I told you, it goes on in a coherent order. The first module, it was about listening, then speaking. Now it's reading. So it follows the pattern, the coherence of the skills which we require in order to learn a language. There are different verticals. Like we have the first one is significance of reading skill, techniques of reading. We have skimming reading, that is reading for gist of a text. Then scanning, reading for specific information. Then intensive and extensive reading, where one is the very careful reading and another is reading for fun. Reading comprehension is there. Metaphor and figurative language is there. So these are the different verticals which fall under the title reading skills. Reading skill is our fourth module, and these are different verticals which come under reading skill. Now let us see how these different verticals of reading skill will help us to attain both course outcome and how our course outcome is aligned with the program outcomes. First, I would like to just talk about course objectives. What are the course objectives of professional communication? Number one is standard pronunciation. A student should know standard pronunciation. A student should talk in any environment, should go to any place and talk fluently with accurate pronunciation. appropriate word stress. Students should be able to apply word stress and necessary intonation patterns. Students should know what is intonation and what are different intonation patterns. Not only know, but should imply or apply these things to his or her communication. For effective communication, towards achieving these things, one should know in order to make his or her communication effective, in order to achieve academic and professional targets. So, the first course outcome is to help a student to attain academic and professional target by being good at pronunciation, by knowing word stress and intonation. Second thing is grammatical structure, and then there are punctuation marks, punctuation tools. So one should know what are different grammatical structures and punctuation tools. Both these things are needed for both the productive skills like writing and speaking. We communicate with these two skills with writing and speaking. So one should be good at grammar when it comes to writing and speaking. And one should know the punctuation when it comes to writing and even with speaking. Because then only we come to know what are the different pauses, where we should make a long pause or where we should make a short pause. That can only be understood with the help of punctuation marks. Then a critical aspect of speaking and reading for interpreting in-depth meaning between the sentences. In order to know the in-depth meaning between the sentences, a person should be able to speak and read critically. So that critical acumen for speaking and reading can be developed. This course, it assures its students that they can attain this critical acumen for both speaking and reading. A conceptual awareness. One should get a conceptual awareness on writing. Not only writing, but in terms of unity. How writing is a consolidated activity. And regarding the content for writing, coherence, how can the ideas be coherent? How can we maintain that coherence and order in the ideas? And linguistic accuracy, what are the different rules of linguistics which we have to adopt or apply for writing? So these are the different course outcomes. Now what is the relationship between course outcome and program outcome? That is, every course outcome, it needs to link to the program outcome. As I told you earlier, course outcome should link to the program outcome. It cannot come out of the context. It cannot go beyond the program outcomes. Course outcomes, they need to align with the program outcome. Now, what is the course outcome for this unit, this module? Describe the need of reading skill and its various strategies to enhance professional growth and success. Students can able to describe the need of reading skill and its various strategies. Students will be aware about reading skill. It is different strategies in order to enhance their professional growth and success. It's not only speaking, which can give you job, or which can be a hallmark of a person. No, reading skills are quite means they are needful. You are working in a company, you need to read anything. Anything may be provided in front of you and you have to read that thing. So, or you can go with different records of your company when you are good at reading. So this is the course outcome. It makes a student's reading skill strong, and it makes a student to be able with various strategies of reading in order to enhance his professional growth and success. COPO mapping is in now. What is the program outcome? That is to communicate effectively on complex engineering activities. This program, it wants you to communicate effectively on complex engineering activities within the engineering community and society. So a person should be able to communicate effectively on engineering activities with engineering society. So such as being able to comprehend, write effective reports and design documentation and make effective presentations and give and receive clear instruction. So one can do these things when one is able to read the stuff clearly. You cannot draft the presentation, or you cannot draw things, you cannot extract the material for you if you're not able to read clearly. So your reading comes to the rescue when you have to be a very confident person, or when you have to communicate effectively within a particular profession. It's your reading that also improves your communication skill, because you come up with new words, you confront new words. And students should demonstrate the ability to communicate effectively in writing. But the program outcome is students should also show the ability to communicate effectively in writing. It's not only speaking, but writing as well. Then there is one thing, clarity should be there in writing. Grammar, punctuation must be correct. References for writing, and speaking style and subject matter. These are the different things which come under your program outcomes. And now if you recall, if you go back to your program outcomes, to your course outcomes. So at the end of the course, you will be able to read clearly, improve your reading skills, and you will get some different strategies for reading. And they are required for your professional growth and success. So these reading strategies and skills, they ensure your professional success. Because when you read, you come up with new words, you use those words in your communication becomes effective. When you read, you can be of a lot of help to your department, because your reading habit is good, because you are good at extracting the meaning from the reading stuff or written stuff. So this is how your course outcomes, they are aligning with your program outcomes, as I showed you. Now there is a justification of CO with POs. I'll show you how COs are aligned with the POs. Demonstrate the role of grammar and punctuation marks, understanding the meaning between the sentences as well as paragraphs in speaking and writing for clarity. So your course, you play the role of a demonstrator, or you know the role of grammar and punctuation marks, understanding the meaning between sentences. When you are good at reading, that means you understand grammar, that means you are aware of punctuation marks, and these things allow you to understand the meaning between the sentences as well as paragraphs in both speaking and writing for a clarity. This is how your COs, they are mapped with your program outcomes. This is CO-PSO mapping, the key competencies, then we have the percentage of key competencies, course articulation matrix, then benefits of OBE. I would like to draw some specifics on this benefits of OBE. There is one thing about OBE, that's its clarity, that's it's clear. So everything there is clear, nothing is ambiguous. So a student knows what he or she can achieve at the end of the semester, at the end of the course. So there is that transparency is there, clarity is there, and it is flexible. So it can be modified, it has been made, not only it can be, but it has been made according to the expectations of the students. And when it is according to the expectations, that means it is flexible. It has been modeled, this outcome-based education, it has included all the things which are required in the society. So that it's flexible, and its comparison, it can be compared across the individual, class, batch, program and institute level, across any level. Then involvement, there is more student involvement in OBE, and student involvement is good, it is increased in OBE. There are certain portions which are being given to students to read themselves, to go on to study those different portions by their own. And it's not like that orthodox system where we are giving homework. It's different from that. Students are wholly and solely preparing these things for their own. It makes them responsible citizens. They become responsible about their own self, and they should learn more from this individual learning. So this is about the COPO mapping for module 4th. So I hope I have showed you, I have done the justification with COPO mapping for this 4th module. So I would like to thank you here. I would like to stop here. Thank you very much.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.